This video continues our series outlining the uses of Trim 3D Building Designer. In our last video we built our first wall. In this video we'll start and finish off another 3 walls. We've talked about using keystrokes for copy and paste, Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and we'll do some other interesting things now, particularly group. Here I'm using the mouse, clicking and dragging, to outline the entire wall. And then I'm going to right click on the wall and click on Make Group, and all those pieces now become one piece. So when I click and move and pull it away, it moves as one piece. The most useful feature in the program is the Undo command. When I click on Edit, Undo, it goes straight back to the position it was in beforehand. In fact, I want to move this wall a little to the side anyway, because I want to create a space where I'm going to make the second wall. I'm going to copy 3 bricks across to form the base of the second wall, and then I'm going to build up a second tier, and then I'm going to put a gable end on the top. And when it's all joined up, I'll be able to rotate it. I want to build it in the same plane as the first wall because I don't want to rotate every brick. What I want to do is put them all together, group them together, and then rotate the entire wall. So I'm just doing the same thing as before. I'm copying, I'm clicking on Move, and then I'm clicking on the brick, and then I'm just sliding my mouse across to bring it into the right position. We've built our first 3 bricks together, the base layer, the first story of our wall. Now we want to put in a guide piece so we can get the markings right for the top layer, the second story. And that's just slipped into place nicely. Now we can click, shift click on those 3, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and we'll just then move that up onto the top layer and take one of the corners, click, and then slide our mouse across to drag it into the right position. Now we want to go and get a gable end. We can delete the guide piece, we don't need that any longer. Now we need to go and get a gable end, which is the far side, far end of the existing pieces. As you can see, it's made out of 4 pieces, but they've already been grouped together. So we can just Ctrl C that to copy it, zoom out, come back to the second wall that we're in the process of building, and Ctrl V to paste the whole of the gable end there. Now here we have to be a little bit careful, because lining up this gable end can take a little bit of practice. What we want to do is line up the right side of the gable end with the right side of the wall. So we'll take the front corner of the right part of the gable end, there, click, move that, and we're going to put it on the top. Let's zoom in, and that's got to be in exactly the right position there for this gable end to match up with the bricks underneath. If we go across the left hand side of the gable end, you'll see there's a little bit overhanging, but that's creating a gap for an adjacent piece of wall to go in there. It's easier to put on the right hand side of the gable end. So now I've got 2 walls finished. Now I want to group my second wall, so I zoom out a little bit, and then zoom in. I will click and drag around that second wall, right click, and then Make Group. And that's my second wall. Now I'm going to create a third and fourth wall, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. Just like you can copy bricks, you can copy entire walls as well. So I'm just going to do Ctrl C, Ctrl V there, and again I'll do Ctrl C, Ctrl V here. So I've now got 4 walls instantly. Next, we plan to rotate these walls so that they form a rectangle, each wall at right angles 90 degrees to the other. But it's difficult to turn the side walls, as I'll show you now. We need to click on the Rotate tool and put this wall into a position where we can put the Rotate tool on it. That's the rotate tool, and it gives you a protractor. But we can't balance on the top of the peak, the rotate tool. So we're going to do a trick. We're going to go underneath this wall, and we're going to put the protractor onto a flat bit of the wall, and then we're going to turn it, and I'll show you how to turn it. Let's zoom in so we can get it right. Click on the rotate tool, you get a protractor, make sure it's on the right face. This is the right face now, and I'm going to drag off to the right, click, and then start to turn, and the whole wall, because it's grouped together, will turn. Now look at the bottom right hand corner of your screen. I type in 90, I hit enter, and zap. All of a sudden the entire wall has turned at 90 degrees to exactly where it was before. If I pan back up and zoom out, you can now see that that wall is quite clearly at right angles. Don't worry if your screen breaks up, if your model breaks up like that just did. That's just a factor of we've got a lot of pieces in this model. We'll get rid of some of those pieces as we tidy up. So now we've got we've got two walls in the right position. This wall we need to turn through 180 degrees, of course. But this wall we can put the protractor on the top. We don't have to go underneath to do this. So that's the protractor in the right position on the top. We move out, click, start turning. Again, we're going to type in 180 in the bottom right hand corner, hit enter, and the wall turns around 180 degrees, exactly as you want it. We'll now do our fourth wall. Exactly the same process. We go back underneath again, find a flat bit, which is the base of the wall, adjust the screen using zoom and pan to make sure that we zoom, rotate and pan to make sure that we've got a good position. Click on the rotate tool, click on the base, pull to the right, click, and start turning. Type in 90 degrees this time, and we've got 90 degrees as being the resultant move of the wall. Now we've got the walls in the right directions, and we're going to join them up later, but first we want to make it not quite as obvious that we've cheated. So we're going to make a couple of changes to the walls now. Let's go to one of the gable ends, and we'll put a window in. Now before we can operate on this gable end wall, we have to ungroup it. So we click on it, we right click, and we go explode. In SketchUp, the ungroup feature is called explode. I then see that that gable end has been converted back to 6 bricks and a gable end, which itself is still grouped. I delete the piece that I want to delete, and now I'm going to go and find a window to put in here. I like the look of that window, so I'm going to copy and move it across. I need to turn it through right angled, remember, because it's in the wrong position. I go zoom in, click on the protractor tool, the rotate tool, put it in the right position, click there, move out to the right, click, and start turning. And again, in the bottom right hand corner, I'm going to type 90, and it jumps instantly to 90 degrees. I can zoom back out, and then I'm going to pick up that piece and put it into the hole that I've created for it. We'll need to do some more zooming in and out to make it line up perfectly, but that's no problem. So we're holding onto a corner, the top right hand corner of this piece, and we just want to slide it into that gap there. You see how easy this is once you've got a little bit of practice at doing this. So that wall is now finished. I'm happy with that. Let's go around to the back wall, and we'll take out the door. We don't want doors on both sides of our house. Again, we click on the wall, we explode, and that's all in different pieces. We click on that piece and we can delete it. We want now to copy that piece down. Oops, my mistake. Control Z, undo. Let's try deleting that door again. Move that piece out of the way, delete the door, and now the brick piece will just slide into that gap. click on the move button and grab a corner and slide it in. We're at slightly the wrong angle here, so we're going to have to maneuver around a little bit. This is partly a mistake on my part and partly fortuitous, that you can see that you have to move things around a little bit to get them into the right position. And sometimes if you push them in the right direction, they just click into place automatically, as this one has done. We've been quite lucky with that. Let's zoom out again, and now we need to regroup that wall. What do? We click and drag with the mouse around to create a rectangle around the position, around the wall, and then right click and make group. I don't think I grouped the end wall that we put the window in, so let's go back and do that. Again, we just put a rectangle around it, right click, make group, and that's done. So, now we've got 4 walls that are all different. That completes this video. In our next video, we're going to join up these walls. We'll check that the final join is a good one. We'll put in a different door on the front door, and then we'll finish and tidy up our model design. As always, the quick way to go to our next video in this series is just to click on the eye icon in the top right hand corner of your screen. Then click on the image that appears.